Hello, darling friend. I have a story just for you. It was long ago and it was far away. There was a king who lived in a mighty palace at the top of a hill. Surrounding him were the villages, towns and cities of his kingdom. But he was so far away from them, so disconnected, that he had no idea what was going on in any part of his kingdom. He didn't know how people went about their business and he didn't know how they felt. So he decided that he needed to be more in touch with what was going on. He knew that if he went down as himself, nobody would tell him the truth. So he disguised himself as a beggar. He let his hair grow out and tatty. He put mud across his face and he wore tatty and ragged clothes. He set off and went from village to village and town to town all day, looking, observing, speaking. And by the time dusk came, he was absolutely exhausted. He rounded the final corner in that last village, and as he was about to go up the hill and go into a relaxing bath, he heard singing coming from one of the cottages. How is this possible, he thought? How can anybody be happy at this time of day? And he went and he knocked on the door. And a cobbler opened the door and welcomed the beggar in. Come, come, I will give you food. I have food to share. And the king was astounded that he would be so welcoming. Well, all right then, but what have you got to sing about? Ah, I have just bought this beautiful fresh loaf of bread and this delicious goat's cheese. Come and share it with me. And why is this? Said the king. How have you afforded this? Ah, well, today I have sold a pair of shoes and I have mended 3. This is a good day's work. So how do you know, said the beggar king, how do you know that you will have this fortune tomorrow? What happens if you don't? Well, said the cobbler, I have trust. I have faith that all will be well. The two of them enjoyed the evening together, and the beggar king went off into the night. And as he walked up the hill, he thought to himself, I wonder if this faith, if this trust is real, and I wonder whether I should test it. And when he got up to the palace, he made a decree. He announced that no cobbler was to sell or mend any shoes for at least a month. And when the cobbler woke up at daybreak, he heard this proclamation. Ah, he said, I wonder what today will bring. And as he was walking down to the well to go and fill up his bucket with water, he was considering what he might do for the day. As he stood in line, there was an elderly woman who was lifting water out of the well. Let me help you, said the cobbler. Please, let me help you. And he took the water back home for her. And when they got home, she gave him a coin. And this gave him an idea. He went back to the well, and everyone who needed any help, he would take their water for them. And he collected and fetched and collected. And some people gave him coins, so that by the end of the day, he had a whole handful of coins. And he went home singing. Of course, the beggar king had been doing his rounds, and he came to the door of the cobbler and knocked. He could hear the singing again, and this confused him. He went in, and the cobbler had a new loaf of bread, cheese, and some ale. Come and join me, I have plenty. So you have actually gone against the king's wishes? You have got this from mending shoes when you were told not to? Oh, no, said the cobbler. No, not at all. I've been fetching and carrying water all day. Oh, said the beggar king. So this is why you're happy. What happens tomorrow if nobody wants their water, carrying or any help of that sort? I have trust. I have faith that all will be well. said the cobbler as he tucked into his delicious supper. Now, as the king walked home, he was perplexed but a little bit cross, because he thought that he could test the cobbler and that it would be very simple to stop him from having this faith. The next day he decreed that no one was to help at the well. Everyone was to collect and carry their own water. The cobbler woke. I wonder what's in store for me today. And as he went out contemplating what might be around the corner there was a woodcutter. And the woodcutter had a very, very heavy load of wood. Please let me help you, my friend, said the cobbler. I can help you lighten that load. Oh, if you would, said the woodcutter. I have a lot to do today. Would you help me all day? Certainly I will. And the two of them worked hand in hand, side by side, all day, until sweat was pouring off them. Now, the king had spent the day up in his palace. He was weary of going around, trudging through the streets, but he had decided that he would go down in the evening and stand outside that cottage door and hear the silence. As he got close to the cottage door, however, there was no silence. It was joyful singing. Inside the cottage, when he was received in by the cobbler, there was bread and cheese and fruit and ale and even a little meat. So, you've gone against the king's wishes. No, not at all. I wouldn't do that, said the cobbler. But I did help the woodcutter, and he explained what he'd been doing all day and how the woodcutter had paid him handsomely. I have plenty to share. Come and join me. And the two chatted into the night. But if there is no wood tomorrow because the woodcutter's done all his work, what will you do? I have faith. I trust that all will be well, said the cobbler with a very light heart. And the king was furious. This has to come to an end. There has to be a way to ensure that he has no chance of making money tomorrow. And as he walked up the hill, this curiosity turned to competition, turned to hatred. He wondered what he could do. He was out of his mind. And it came to him. He called the yeoman of the guard. Tomorrow you must round up all of the woodcutters and all of the cobblers, and they will join my palace guard. Yes, said the yeoman, I will do this. So the cobbler found himself in the palace courtyard, dressed in this beautiful, fine uniform with boots and hat and a wonderful, shiny sword in its sheath. And all day he worked. He was proud to work for the king. And at the end of the day, he went to the captain and he said, I've worked hard all day. May I have my wages? Oh no, said the captain. You get paid at the end of the month. We don't pay you daily. Be off with you and see you tomorrow. And the cobbler walked home and wondered and pondered. He had nothing in his cupboard. And then an idea came to him. He walked beyond his cottage to the moneylender's cottage and he knocked on the door. Please, what will you give me to take this beautiful shiny sword off my hands? I will be back for it in a month. Ah, said the moneylender. Yes, I can give you this. And he gave him more than 3 months' worth of food money. And of course, you know well, the cobbler went home singing, so that when the king knocked on the door, he couldn't believe his ears. Come in, come in. But what have you done? How is this possible? Said the beggar king. Ah, this is what I've done, said the cobbler, and he pulled out a wooden sword from its sheath. He had made himself a wooden sword to replicate the metal one, because he knew that in a month's time he would get the metal sword back and all would be well. Now I've got him, thought the king as he went home to soak in his long bath. Now I have him. He told the yeoman of the guard that tomorrow one of the prisoners from his jail was to come out and be executed, and it was the cobbler who was to chop off his head with his sword. When the cobbler arrived, he was worried. The prisoner was kneeling before the king's feet. The whole village had come out and massed in front of this expedition, this exhibition. And the prisoner was begging. I did take some bread, but please forgive me. Forgive me. It was out of hunger and not out of greed. I do not deserve to die. The cobbler had to think quickly. He didn't want to kill this prisoner. And then he turned to the crowd, huge crowd, and he said, if this man is innocent, then when I pull my sword out of its sheath, it will turn to wood, and I won't be able to kill him. However, if he's guilty, his head will roll. The king, of course, knew he could do nothing about it. He had to stand there and accept this, knowing what was going to happen. And out came the wooden sword, and everyone in the village cheered. The prisoner just fell down in a faint. When he woke, said, am I free? Can I go? The king reluctantly said yes, although in fact the king's heart was melting and he realised that he was doing something shameful and that actually he should never have gone to this extreme anyway. It was almost like he woke up from his foolishness, and the prisoner ran off to his family, and the cobbler was relieved. He went home, and that night as he prepared his supper, he sang. And the knock at the door, welcome, dear beggar. But when he opened the door, there was no beggar, there was a king. Oh, I'm sorry, Your Majesty, come in. I'm honoured that you would come to my door. I'm sure you have much better things to eat, but you're welcome to whatever I have at my table. I have come to ask for forgiveness, said the king, and he explained what he'd done. And the beggar thought about it. But the king then said, I'm in need of a wise advisor, and I think you are exactly the right person. Will you come? Will you work for me? Yes, said the cobbler. Of course, it would be my honour. And sire, have faith, trust. All will be well. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, please comment below. Tell me what you think. Subscribe. Share with a friend maybe who would like to hear a story today. Go well. Tell stories.